Cold virgin millionaire comforts crying twins at the wedding. Froze when he sees their MOM. The crowd around them faded to a distant hum as Ethan stood frozen between his past and his future, blood dripping steadily onto the floor beneath them. Have you ever had your carefully constructed life shatter in an instant? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The champagne glass exploded in Ethan Cole's hand at his own engagement party. But it wasn't the pain that drained the color from his face. It was the woman in peach across the room, holding the hands of two small boys with eyes exactly like his. Blood dripped onto the white marble floor as conversations around him continued, oblivious to the earthquake happening within his chest. These children, these perfect, miniature humans with bow ties he had just straightened, were looking at him with innocent curiosity while their mother stared with 5 years of frozen rage. "Ethan, you're bleeding." Madison's voice barely registered as she pressed a napkin to his palm. His fiancée's diamond caught the light, throwing prisms across the ballroom where Charleston's elite celebrated their engagement. But Ethan couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't tear his gaze from Maya Brooks, the only woman who had ever touched his soul, standing 30 feet away with living proof of what they'd created together. "I need a minute," he managed, pulling away from Madison's grasp. The twins, they couldn't be more than 4 years old, watched him with matching expressions of curiosity. His eyes, his chin, even the way the smaller one tilted his head slightly was like looking in a mirror from decades past. Crystal chandeliers cast honeyed light across the ballroom as Charleston's elite clinked glasses, oblivious to the collision of worlds happening in the corner where a man worth billions was bleeding from more than just his hand. "Who are they?" Madison whispered, following his gaze to Maya and the boys. Before he could answer, before he could form any coherent thought, the smaller of the twins broke away from Maya's grasp and ran straight toward him, stopping inches from his freshly polished shoes. "You fix my tie," the boy said, pointing to the perfectly straightened bow at his neck. "Are you friends with my mommy?" The question knocked the air from Ethan's lungs. Friends? He'd spent 7 nights memorizing every inch of her body. He'd whispered promises against her skin. He'd left without saying goodbye, thinking he was protecting her. And she'd been pregnant, with his children, his sons. "Aiden, come back here." Maya's voice hadn't changed. Still that honeyed warmth with steel underneath. She approached cautiously, her second son clutching her peach dress with small fists. Time slowed as their eyes met over the head of their child. 5 years dissolved like sugar in hot coffee, leaving only the bitter grounds of what could have been. "Maya," he whispered, her name rusty from disuse but still perfectly formed on his tongue. Madison's fingers dug into his arm. "Ethan, who is this woman?" Maya's laugh held no humor. Nobody important, apparently. The crowd around them faded to a distant hum as Ethan stood frozen between his past and his future, blood dripping steadily onto the floor beneath them. Have you ever had your carefully constructed life shatter in an instant? When the one person who knows your true self appears at the worst possible moment. Drop a heart if you've experienced that stomach-dropping recognition. As Maya's eyes locked with his across the crowded room, 5 years of carefully constructed lies began to crumble. But it wasn't the scandal about to erupt that terrified him. It was the realization that he'd never stopped wanting her, even as the twins, his twins, watched him with innocent curiosity, bow ties perfectly straightened by hands they didn't know belonged to their father. 5 years earlier, Ethan Cole had never been touched by a woman. Not by choice, but by the prison of anxiety he'd built around himself while amassing a fortune that couldn't keep him warm at night. Atlanta's tech scene called him brilliant. Business Insider labeled him ruthless. Behind closed doors, employees whispered about the 29-year-old CEO who flinched when someone reached for a handshake, who conducted meetings from across expansive tables, who had never been photographed with a date. The untouchable genius, Forbes had dubbed him in their 30 under 30 feature. The article detailed his rise from foster kid to tech mogul without mentioning the night terrors that still woke him. soaked in sweat from memories of hands that hadn't been gentle. His corner office overlooked Atlanta's skyline, glass walls offering a view of everything except what he truly wanted: connection. Employees whispered about the man who could break through any firewall but couldn't bear a casual touch on the shoulder. "Mr. Cole, your flight to Charlotte is confirmed for tomorrow morning." His assistant Julie kept a careful distance as she placed the itinerary on his desk. She learned early that proximity made him tense. "The security conference agenda is attached." Ethan nodded without looking up from his screen. Numbers made sense. Code was predictable. People were not. That night, alone in his minimalist penthouse, he packed methodically. Identical suits, identical shirts, everything designed to require minimal decisions. Efficiency was safety. Routine was control. The headlines from tech blogs scrolled across his phone. Cole Technologies revolutionizes data security again. The Virgin CEO. Why Ethan Cole's personal life remains a mystery. Wall Street betting big on Cole's new encryption protocol. His fingers hovered over that second headline. The speculation about his personal life had grown from whispers to full articles. His non-existent dating history had become its own legend, some claiming religious conviction, others suggesting hidden sexuality, the crueler ones betting on some physical abnormality. None guessed the truth, that the boy who'd learned early that touch meant pain had grown into a man who couldn't bear to be vulnerable, even for pleasure. What would you sacrifice for success? Ethan gave up human connection to build an empire. Would you trade touch for wealth? Comment below what you think is worth more. When his assistant mentioned the Charlotte trip, something in Ethan hoped for disruption. Anything to break the perfect, sterile routine he'd crafted. He had no idea he was walking toward the one person who would shatter every wall he'd built, then leave him more broken than before. She knocked on his hotel door at midnight with apologetic eyes and clean towels, not knowing she was about to change the life of a man who'd never let anyone close enough to matter. "Housekeeping," she called softly. "I'm so sorry to disturb you, sir." Ethan opened the door just enough to see her, tall, with skin the color of burnished copper and eyes that didn't immediately drop from his gaze like most people's did. "I didn't request service." His voice came out sharper than intended. 3 days of the security conference had drained him. Too many hands to shake, too many bodies pressing close in elevators and meeting rooms. There was a mix-up with rooms. Your neighbor flooded their bathroom, and it's seeping through the walls. "I need to check if you're affected." She lifted fresh towels in explanation. Her name tag read Maya. The panic hit without warning. A tight band around his chest, the familiar tunnel vision darkening the edges of his sight. Too many changes, too many unknowns, too close. He staggered back from the door, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Instead of retreating, she stepped inside, set down the towels, and closed the door softly behind her. "You're having a panic attack," she stated calmly. "May I help you?" The hotel room blurred as panic clawed at his chest, but through the chaos came her voice, steady, undemanding, guiding him back with simple instructions. "Breathe with me. Just breathe." She didn't touch him, didn't crowd him, just sat across from him on the floor, demonstrating slow breaths until his followed suit. "I'm a nursing student," she explained when he could focus again. Panic attacks are more common than people realize. Humiliation burned through him. "Please don't mention this to anyone." Her smile held no judgment. Medical confidentiality applies even when I'm folding towels. Something in her easy acceptance cracked open a door he'd kept locked for decades. "Does this happen often during your hotel shifts? CEOs hyperventilating on my towel rounds? You're my first." Her gentle teasing lacked the edge he was accustomed to, though dealing with entitled rich guys isn't exactly rare. "Am I being entitled right now?" "No, just human." She stood, checking the walls for water damage. "You're dry." Crisis averted. He should have thanked her and let her leave. Instead, he heard himself ask, "What time do you finish your shift?" Her eyebrow raised. That sounds like the beginning of an inappropriate request. "No, He stumbled over words, something he never did in boardrooms. "Just coffee. As thanks." In the lobby, Public place. Her laugh came unexpectedly, warm and rich. My shift ends at 2. I doubt you'll still be awake. I don't sleep much. Have you ever met someone who instantly felt safe? Who could calm your storms without even trying? Tell me about that person who made you feel understood when you thought no one could. Dawn filtered through the curtains as they sat on opposite ends of the couch, having shared more truth in one night than he'd spoken in years. I should go, she whispered, rising to leave. Without planning to, Ethan heard himself ask the question that would alter both their lives. What if you stayed? For 1 week in Charlotte, the man who built walls for a living learned how to tear them down. One touch, one truth, one trembling surrender at a time. I need to reschedule my return flight, Ethan told his assistant over the phone, watching Maya sleep on the hotel couch where they talked until sunrise. The conference uncovered some issues that require my attention here. Julie didn't question it. No one questioned Ethan Cole's decisions. Maya stirred, eyes opening to find him watching her. Morning, boss man. Regretting your late-night coffee invitation yet? He wasn't. For the first time in memory, the constant hum of anxiety had quieted to background noise. I extended my stay, he said, uncertain why these words felt more significant than any business deal he'd ever negotiated. Would you have dinner with me tonight? After your shift? She studied him with those direct eyes. You know, I'm just hotel staff, right? Not exactly in your social circle. That's precisely why I'm asking. That night, in a corner booth of a restaurant far from the corporate crowd, Maya told him about her mother's cancer, about working double shifts to pay medical bills while finishing nursing school, about the small life she'd built through sheer determination. Your turn, she prompted. Tell me something real, not the press release version. So he did. About foster homes where closets became hiding places. About the coding that became escape. About panic attacks no one had ever noticed, let alone helped him through. When was the last time someone touched you? Not handshakes or business stuff, really touched you, she asked over dessert. The question froze him. I don't remember. Her hand extended across the table, palm up. An invitation, not a demand. May I? The first brush of her fingers against his sent electricity shooting up his arm. Her touch was gentle, experimental, the opposite of every grabbing, controlling, hurtful contact he'd known. Breathe, she reminded him, just as she had during his panic attack. Each night that week followed the same pattern. Dinner after her shift, conversations that stripped away layers of protection, and gradually, carefully, the introduction of touch. Her hand on his arm, her shoulder brushing his, her fingers tracing patterns on his palm. On the fourth night, in the privacy of his hotel room, she asked, "May I kiss you?" The city lights painted patterns across her skin as she guided his hesitant hands, teaching him that touch could heal instead of hurt, that vulnerability wasn't weakness, but its own kind of strength. We can stop anytime, she whispered against his neck. Just say the word. But he didn't want to stop. For the first time in his life, Ethan Cole wanted to be touched, wanted to feel, wanted to experience the connection his fear had always denied him. Her patience unwound him. Her gentle guidance rebuilt him. Under her hands, his body remembered what his mind had forgotten, that not all contact brings pain. What's more intimate, physical closeness or emotional transparency? Ethan discovered both with Maya. Share what you think creates the deepest connection between two people. On the seventh night, tangled in hotel sheets and whispered promises, Ethan made plans to bring her to Atlanta to merge their separate worlds. No more hiding, he promised against her lips. 3 hours later, his phone rang with news that would send him running from the only person who'd ever truly seen him. The night Ethan learned what love felt like was the same night he discovered what he loved could be used to destroy him, and potentially her. His phone rang at 3 a.m. Maya slept peacefully beside him, unaware that the world was about to shift. "Sir, we have a critical situation." His head of security never called directly unless something was catastrophically wrong. "Our systems have been compromised at the highest level." Ethan slipped from bed, careful not to wake Maya. "How bad?" "The worst we've seen. They didn't just breach the firewall. They've been inside for weeks. Client data, security protocols, personal information, A pause. "Including yours, sir." Ice formed in Ethan's veins. What exactly do they access? Everything. Your calendar, your communications, your location data. Another hesitation. "Sir, there's a message. It appears to be directed specifically to you." Ethan moved to the bathroom, closing the door before opening his laptop. The message filled his screen. "The untouchable man isn't so untouchable anymore, is he? We've been watching you in Charlotte. She's pretty, the hotel maid with the sick mother. Imagine what would happen if someone decided she should suffer for your sins. Everyone has a weakness, Cole. We just found yours." Attached were photos. Maya entering his hotel room. Maya at dinner with him. Maya in the lobby, laughing at something he'd said. Each image like a knife. Rain pelted the hotel window as Ethan stared at the screen. Each line of code, a knife twisting deeper. Someone had found his weakness. Found her. And the message was clear. Everything he touched would be corrupted. The breach wasn't random. This was targeted, personal. Someone wanted to hurt him through her. His security team outlined the extent of the damage over the next hour. Client data exposed. Trading algorithms compromised. But all Ethan could think about was Maya sleeping in his bed, unaware she'd been photographed, tracked, marked as his vulnerability. "Can we identify who's behind this?" he asked. "Working on it. But sir, they've embedded themselves deeply. This is sophisticated and vengeful." The final message from the hackers came just before dawn. "Leave her alone or watch her suffer. Your choice, Cole." Ethan stood at the window, watching rain turn Charlotte into a blur of lights. In 1 week, Maya had dismantled barriers he'd spent decades building. She'd shown him connection wasn't always pain, and now that connection had made her a target. Have you ever protected someone by walking away? When loving someone meant letting them go. Share your experience with impossible choices. He left before dawn, leaving only a cold space in the bed and an envelope of cash that spoke louder than any goodbye. What he didn't know was that something of him remained behind. Growing inside Maya, who woke alone with no explanation for why the man who'd promised no more hiding had vanished completely. The pregnancy test showed 2 pink lines, but the phone number he'd given her was already disconnected, leaving Maya with 3 heartbeats where there had once been 1. "This can't be happening," she whispered to her empty apartment. 3 pregnancy tests lined the bathroom sink, all bearing the same verdict. She'd been careful her entire life, except for 1 week with a man who'd vanished like morning fog. The hotel had no forwarding address for Ethan Cole. His company's headquarters refused her calls. The few photos of them together weren't enough to prove anything to the board receptionist who blocked her attempts to reach him. "He left me money," she told her mother during a hospital visit, shame coloring her words. Like I was something he'd purchased for the week. Her mother squeezed her hand. "What will you do?" Maya placed her palm against her still flat stomach. "I'm keeping it. Him. Her. Whatever is growing inside me." 2 weeks later, the doctor's office felt too bright, too sterile as the ultrasound wand glided across her stomach. "There's the first heartbeat," the technician said, then paused. "And there's the second. Congratulations, you're having twins." "Twin boys," they told her at the next appointment. 2 lives growing from a love that had vanished without explanation. The irony wasn't lost on Maya. She'd spent years taking care of her mother, working herself to exhaustion for someone else's medical bills. Now, she would have 2 more people depending solely on her. Savannah offered a fresh start, a nursing position at the Children's Hospital, an apartment small but sufficient for a young family, distance from Charlotte and its memories. Her mother moved with them, her cancer in temporary remission. "Those boys will need their grandmother," she insisted, though they both knew her time was borrowed. At 7 months pregnant, Maya waddled through the Savannah hospital corridors during orientation. "You'll be on your feet most of the day," her supervisor warned. "Sure you're up for this?" Maya didn't mention the double shifts she'd worked at the hotel while taking full-time classes. Didn't explain how she'd learned to ignore exhaustion years ago. "I'm stronger than I look." The twins arrived on a stormy April night. Aiden first, followed 7 minutes later by Elijah. They had their father's eyes, deep brown with flecks of gold, and his serious expression. But their smiles, when they finally came, were all Maya's. In those first months, between night feedings and diaper changes, she would sometimes catch herself searching for Ethan's features in their tiny faces. The curve of their ears, the shape of their fingernails, the way Elijah's brow furrowed when he concentrated. Single mothers, I see you. If you've ever had to be both mother and father, both soft and strong, drop a heart below. Maya's about to show what real strength looks like. As she settled into Savannah, Maya made one promise to her unborn children. Your father may have disappeared, but I will be enough for both of us. What she couldn't know was that 3 years later, her path would cross with Madison Clark, a woman planning to marry the father of her children. The business magazines called his comeback legendary. How Ethan Cole emerged from scandal more powerful than before, his heart apparently is frozen, as his new public image suggested. Cole Technologies recovers from catastrophic breach. The Wall Street Journal announced 6 months after Ethan disappeared from Charlotte. The article detailed how he turned disaster into opportunity, rebuilding his security systems and turning his company's vulnerability into its greatest selling point. What the journalist didn't see was the man behind the revival, working 20-hour days, sleeping on his office couch, eliminating every trace of weakness from his life and his company. The board is impressed with the recovery, his chief operating officer said during a late meeting. They're just concerned about what? Ethan snapped, not looking up from his screen. Your personal image. The breach made you look vulnerable. The market responds to strength, stability. Ethan knew what wasn't being said. The rumors about his private life had intensified after the breach. Speculation about blackmail. Questions about what leverage the hackers had found. What do you suggest? His voice remained neutral, though rage simmered beneath. The answer came in the form of Madison Clark, introduced at a charity gala 3 months later. Daughter of a retired senator, Harvard Business School, beautiful in the calculated way of women who view appearance as capital investment. She's perfect, his public relations director whispered as Madison approached. Impeccable family, right connections, understands discretion. Their courtship played out in carefully orchestrated public appearances, charity events, opera openings. Restaurant sightings leaked to friendly gossip columnists. Madison never pressed for more than Ethan offered. Never questioned why he flinched at unexpected touches. Never mentioned how he kept the lights off during their infrequent mechanical physical encounters. The New York Times called him brilliantly ruthless in the profile that featured him standing alone in his glass tower. The Atlanta skyline stretching behind him like a kingdom built on isolation. What readers couldn't see was how he still woke from dreams of Maya. Her laugh, her touch, the way she'd seen past his defenses to the frightened boy beneath the billionaire facade. He never searched for her, couldn't risk it. The hackers had gone silent, but Ethan knew threats rarely disappeared. They just waited for the perfect moment to resurface. The engagement will stabilize investor confidence, Madison said over dinner at his penthouse, discussing their relationship like a business merger. Spring wedding in Charleston. My family has connections to the city's best venues. Can a person really turn off their feelings? Or do they just bury them deeper? Tell me if you've ever tried to freeze your heart to protect it. When Madison suggested Charleston for their engagement celebration, Ethan agreed without hesitation. The furthest possible location from Charlotte and its memories. The irony wouldn't strike him until later. In trying to escape his past, he'd booked the very venue where Maya's cousin worked as an event planner. Maya stared at the embossed invitation. Her cousin had pulled strings to get her on staff for Charleston's wedding of the year, never knowing she was sending Maya directly into the path of the man who'd broken her heart and fathered her children. It's triple the normal pay, her cousin Layla explained over the phone. One weekend in Charleston, helping coordinate the Clark Cole engagement party. The twins can come too. They'll love the hotel pool. The name didn't register immediately. Maya was calculating how the extra money could cover Elijah's asthma medication and the boys' preschool deposit. Wait, Cole, what's the groom's first name? Ethan Cole, the tech guy. Super rich, super private. Marrying Senator Clark's daughter. Why, you know him? The room tilted slightly. For years had passed since Charlotte. For years of building a life without him. Of answering the twins' increasingly curious questions about their father with careful half-truths. No, Maya lied, gripping the counter for support. Just sounds familiar. She should have refused. Should have invented an excuse. But her mother's cancer had returned, more aggressive this time. The medical bills were mounting again, and the boys needed new shoes, winter coats, 1,000 small necessities that stretched her nursing salary beyond breaking. "We'll be there," she told Layla. "Text me the details." The twins raced through their small apartment. Bowties ask you for the wedding where they'd be little gentlemen, as Maya had promised. Their laughter filled spaces that questions about their father never could. "Will there be cake?" Aiden asked, already the more practical twin. "And dancing?" Elijah added, always drawn to movement and music. "Yes to both," Maya assured them, kneeling to straighten their ties. At 4 years old, they were miniature versions of the man they'd never met. Serious one moment, unexpectedly playful the next. She packed her simple peach dress, the nicest thing she owned, and rehearsed what she'd say if she ever faced Ethan again. 5 years of imagined confrontations had prepared her for anything. Anything except seeing him kneeling before her sons, with eyes identical to theirs, in a room full of Charleston's elite while wearing another woman's engagement ring. Single parents, how do you answer when your child asks about their missing parent? Share your wisdom below for those walking this difficult path. As she packed her simple peach dress, the nicest thing she owned, Maya rehearsed what she'd say if she ever faced Ethan again. 5 years of imagined confrontations had prepared her for anything. Anything except seeing him kneeling before her sons, with eyes identical to theirs, in a room full of Charleston's elite while wearing another woman's engagement ring. Back in the present moment, 3 heartbeats thundered in Ethan's ears, his own racing pulse and the steady rhythm of 2 small boys who carried his blood but didn't know his name. "Your hand is bleeding pretty badly," Maya said, her voice steady despite the trembling in her fingers as she handed him a clean napkin. The professional nurse temporarily overriding the shocked woman. Madison stepped closer, territorial hand sliding around Ethan's arm. "I'm Madison Clark, Ethan's fiancée." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "And you are?" "Maya Brooks. I'm working with the event staff." Her gaze never left Ethan's face. "Your fiancé was just helping my sons with their bow ties." The smaller twin, Aiden, she called him, tugged at Maya's dress. "Mommy, you fix it just right. Not too tight." Time slowed as Madison approached, her diamond catching the light like a warning flare. Between them stood 2 little boys with Ethan's eyes and Maya's smile, living bridges between separate worlds that were never supposed to collide. "What an adorable coincidence," Madison said, her calculating gaze moving between the twins and Ethan. "They have your eyes, darling. Don't they look just like you?" The question hung in the air like a live grenade. Ethan saw the exact moment Madison connected the dots, her eyes narrowing slightly, her spine straightening. "We should get that hand looked at," Maya said professionally. "There might be glass in the wound." "I'll take him to the first aid station," Madison countered. "Mommy's a nurse," Elijah announced proudly. "She fixes people every day." Ethan found his voice at last. "Maya, I didn't know." For words that contained 5 years of absence. For words that explained nothing and everything. Maya's laugh held no humor. Clearly, guests were beginning to notice the tension in their corner. Madison, ever aware of appearances, plastered on a smile. "Why don't we continue this conversation somewhere more private? There's a sitting room just off the main hall." The twins, bored with adult conversation, had wandered toward the dessert table. "Boys," Maya called sharply, "stay where I can see you." They moved toward the private room like actors in a play, maintaining proper spacing and pleasant expressions until the heavy door closed behind them. Only then did Maya's composure crack. "For years," she whispered fiercely, 4 years raising your sons alone, working double shifts, explaining why they don't have a father like other kids. And here you are, getting married, living your perfect life like we never existed." Madison's gaze had gone arctic. "Ethan, explain this." Now, who's that man, Mommy? One twin asked loudly, pointing at Ethan whose blood had drained from his face. Before Maya could answer, Madison slipped her arm through Ethan's. I'm his fiancée, she said with a practiced smile. And who might you be? What would you do if you discovered you had children you never knew about? Or if your children suddenly met the parent who never knew they existed? The next few moments will change all their lives forever. Who's that man, Mommy? One twin asked loudly, pointing at Ethan whose blood had drained from his face. Before Maya could answer, Madison slipped her arm through Ethan's. I'm his fiancée, she said with a practiced smile. And who might you be? 5 years of secrets collapsed in 5 minutes of chaos as Ethan faced the woman he'd abandoned, the sons he never knew existed, and the fiancée who was witnessing it all with increasingly cold comprehension. I'm Elijah, the more outspoken twin answered Madison, chest puffing slightly. That's my brother Aiden. We're 4, almost 5, Aiden corrected quietly, his serious gaze fixed on Ethan's face with unsettling intensity. The antique doors closed behind them with a heavy click, sealing 4 adults and 2 children in a powder keg of unspoken truths. Outside, champagne flowed and music played while inside. Ethan stared at the living consequences of his greatest mistake. Boys, why don't you check out the toys in that chest? Maya pointed to an antique trunk, likely filled with expensive distractions for children of wealthy guests. Once they were occupied, she turned to Ethan, voice low but steady. You have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't take these boys and walk out that door, never to see you again, just like you did to me. Madison's grip on Ethan's arm tightened. Yes, darling, please explain how you failed to mention having children with the help. She's not the help, Ethan snapped, the first flash of emotion breaking through his shock. And I didn't know about the boys. How convenient, Madison murmured. Ethan finally pulled away from his fiancée's grasp. Because I left to protect you, not abandon you, and I can prove it. Maya's bitter laugh cut through the tension. Protect me? By disappearing without a word? By blocking my calls? By leaving cash like I was some kind of... The data breach, Ethan interrupted. It wasn't random. They were targeting you to get to me. Stop lying, Maya hissed, glancing at the boys to ensure they weren't listening. If you couldn't handle what happened between us, just admit it. Don't invent some hero story. Ethan pulled his phone from his pocket, fingers moving rapidly across the screen. I never looked for you because I thought they were watching. I never contacted you because I believed they would hurt you if I did. He held out the phone. This is why I left. The screen showed a message dated 5 years earlier. The maid has a sick mother in Charlotte Memorial. Room 302. We'll be ashamed if something happened to her. Stay away from the girl, or we start with Mommy. Maya's face drained of color. How did they know about my mother? The same way they knew everything else, Ethan said quietly. They've been watching me. Watching us. Madison circled them, heels clicking softly on the hardwood. So you abandoned her to protect her? How noble. Her voice dripped sarcasm. And you never thought to warn her? Never considered she might be in danger regardless? Or pregnant with your children? The twins had abandoned the toy chest and were watching the adults with wary eyes. Children of a single mother, they developed an instinct for tension. Mommy, Aiden asked, small voice cutting through the adult conversation. Is that man mad at you? Have you ever been caught between your past and your future? Between the life you've built and the one that might have been? Share your experience with impossible choices. You have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't take these boys and walk out that door, never to see you again. Just like you did to me, Maya said, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. What Ethan said next would change everything. Because I left to protect you, not abandon you, and I can prove it. The flash drive Ethan pulled from his pocket contained 5 years of evidence. Proof that his disappearance wasn't abandonment, but the desperate act of a man trying to keep digital predators from destroying the only person he'd ever loved. I need to show you something, Ethan said quietly, but not in front of the boys. Maya studied him, years of hurt battling with the medical proof of threats she'd just seen on his phone. Elijah, Aiden, stay right here with, she hesitated, then forced out the words. with your father's fiancée for just 1 minute. Madison's perfectly sculpted eyebrows shot up. I don't babysit. You do today, Maya replied, following Ethan to the corner of the room where his laptop sat on an antique desk. The flash drive connected with a soft click. Ethan's fingers moved quickly, navigating through encrypted folders. After I left Charlotte, I spent every resource tracking who was behind the breach. Whoever targeted us was sophisticated, patient, and deeply committed to destroying me through you. Digital threats scrolled across the laptop screen, each message more menacing than the last. They knew where you lived, your mother's medical details, your schedule. Ethan explained, his voice hollow. They promised to destroy you if I didn't disappear completely. Maya's hand covered her mouth as she read message after message, each specifying details about her life no stranger should know. The maid works Tuesday through Saturday. Night shift. Mother's cancer treatment isn't working. She'll need experimental options. Shame those cost so much. She walks alone to the bus stop at 2 a.m. Dangerous time for a woman alone. Their hands accidentally touched as he scrolled through the evidence, and neither pulled away immediately. The simple contact sent electricity through both of them, a current that had never fully died. I hired security to watch you from a distance, Ethan continued. People who reported only to me, who didn't know why they were protecting you. I tracked the threats for months. When they finally stopped, I thought it was over. Who would do this? Maya whispered. I made enemies building my company. People who lost fortunes, careers, reputations. Across the room, Madison was showing the twins her diamond ring, keeping them distracted while stealing glances at the intense conversation in the corner. I left that money not as payment, Ethan said, his voice dropping lower, but hoping it would help with your mother's treatments. I couldn't stay and explain without putting you at risk. And you never knew about the boys. It wasn't a question anymore. If I had known, his voice broke. Maya, if I had known we created children together, nothing would have kept me away. Not threats, not blackmail, nothing. The truth hung between them. 5 years of separate lives built on hidden foundations. They have your eyes, she said softly. Your serious expressions. Your mind, too. Aiden can already read at a second grade level. Pride flashed across Ethan's face, quickly replaced by grief for all he'd missed. Would you forgive someone who hurt you to protect you? Is love sometimes better expressed through absence than presence? The choices we make to protect others often look like abandonment from the outside. As understanding dawned in Maya's eyes, Madison's phone chimed with an incoming message. Her smile turned glacial as she turned the screen toward them. How convenient that you've been protecting her all these years, Ethan. Then explain this photo of you 2 weeks after you left her, in a very compromising position with someone who isn't Maya at all. The photograph should have been impossible. Ethan with another woman, dated 2 weeks after he'd left Charlotte. Yet there it was, threatening to destroy the fragile trust rebuilding between them. That's not real, Ethan said immediately, moving closer to examine Madison's phone. That never happened. The image showed him in what appeared to be a hotel room, tangled in sheets with a blonde woman whose face was partially visible. The timestamp read just 14 days after he'd disappeared from Maya's life. Photoshopped, he insisted, but doubt had already clouded Maya's expression. Madison's designer heels clicked against the hardwood as she circled them like a predator who'd finally cornered its prey. Did you really think it was coincidence that I came into your life just when you neutralized the original threat? That I suggested Charleston for our engagement? That your perfect little family reunion is happening at my carefully planned event? The twins had grown bored with Madison's jewelry and were now playing a quiet game of rock, paper, scissors in the corner, oblivious to the adult drama unfolding. What are you saying? Ethan asked, voice dangerously quiet. Madison's laugh held no warmth. You really don't recognize me, do you? The great Ethan Cole, who remembers every line of code, every business rival, every security threat, but doesn't remember destroying my father's company and driving him to suicide. The color drained from Ethan's face. Clark, not Senator Clark's daughter. Edward Clark's daughter. DG Front Technologies. The very same, Madison confirmed. You were so easy to manipulate, so desperate for public redemption after the breach, so eager for a relationship that demanded nothing emotional from you. Her smile turned sharp. Though I admit the virginity thing was a surprise. Made my job both easier and less pleasant. Maya stood frozen, processing the revelation. You orchestrated all of this? The engagement party here? Meeting the boys? Of course, Madison replied. Phase 1 was becoming the perfect girlfriend. Phase 2 was getting access to his systems. And Phase 3, she glanced at the twins. Well, finding your little family was an unexpected bonus. Leverage I never anticipated. Ethan stepped between Madison and the children. Whatever grudge you have is with me. They're innocent. My father was innocent too, Madison snapped. He built that company from nothing, and you destroyed it with that takeover. Stripped its assets, fired everyone, folded the technology into Cole Enterprises. He lost everything. His company, his reputation, his will to live. Her phone chimed again. She glanced at it, satisfaction spreading across her face. I own controlling interest in your company now. Ethan, Madison said with cold precision. You sign over your remaining shares and walk away, or I release everything, including exactly why your precious Maya and those boys were targeted in the first place. It wasn't random. Tell her who's really responsible for the danger she was in, or I will. Have you ever realized someone came into your life with an agenda? That what you thought was chance was actually calculated. Share your experience with manipulative relationships below. I own controlling interest in your company now. Ethan, Madison said with cold precision. You sign over your remaining shares and walk away, or I release everything, including exactly why your precious Maya and those boys were targeted in the first place. It wasn't random. Tell her who's really responsible for the danger she was in, or I will. The truth Ethan had buried beneath 5 years of protection and penance finally emerged. The data breach wasn't random. It was orchestrated by someone from his past who knew exactly how to hurt him. DG Front Technologies was my first major acquisition. Ethan admitted, eyes fixed on Maya rather than Madison. Edward Clark had developed groundbreaking security protocols but couldn't scale the business. I offered to buy him out. He refused. So you destroyed him instead, Madison finished. Planted rumors about security flaws. Manipulated the stock price. Poached his top developers. Then swooped in to save the company when it was on the brink of collapse. The ornate room with its crystal and silk suddenly felt like a courtroom with Ethan in the defendant's box, Madison as prosecutor, and Maya as both witness and victim to crimes committed years before they met. I was 24, Ethan said quietly, building my empire by any means necessary. I didn't consider the human cost. My father put a gun in his mouth 3 months later, Madison said, voice flat, while you were celebrating your first billion. Maya's eyes had gone cold. So the people threatening me, former DG Front employees who lost everything, Madison confirmed. They knew Cole's ruthless reputation. When they saw him getting close to someone for the first time, they recognized a vulnerability they could exploit. I simply found them and redirected their efforts. You're behind the original threats? Ethan's hands clenched. Not directly. Let's call me an interested third party who provided resources. Madison's smile was vicious. The breach was already underway when I discovered it. I just made sure the messages about Maya were particularly persuasive. Maya stepped away from both of them, moving closer to her sons. So I was collateral damage in your corporate war. And my boys grew up without a father because of a business deal gone wrong years before I even met Ethan. Business is personal, Madison replied. My father taught me that before Ethan Cole taught him that losing means losing everything. Ethan moved toward Maya, stopping when she held up her hand. I didn't know who was behind the threats. I just knew they were real. Everything I did was to protect you. By running away, Maya challenged. That's not protection. That's abandonment dressed up as nobility. What would you have done? Ethan demanded. They knew everything about you. Your mother's hospital room, your work schedule, the routes you walked alone at night. What choice did I have? You could have trusted me with the truth, Maya said simply. Let me decide my own risks. The twins had gone quiet, sensing the adult tension. Aiden tugged at Maya's dress. Mommy, can we go now? I don't like it here anymore. Madison checked her watch. As touching as this reunion is, I have an announcement to make to our guests. Ethan, my lawyers will contact you tomorrow about signing over your remaining shares. Consider it the price of my silence about your complicated family situation. Can we ever truly escape our past mistakes? Or do they find ways to return when we're most vulnerable? Share your thoughts on whether redemption requires facing consequences. As Madison laid out her final demands, one of the twins, the quieter one with Ethan's serious expression, tugged at Maya's dress. Is that man our daddy? He asked loudly enough for everyone to hear. The room fell silent as three adults realized that in their war of secrets and revenge, two innocent boys were about to become either the greatest casualties or the unexpected salvation. In a room full of broken promises and calculated revenge, it was the innocent question from a 4-year-old boy that finally cut through the lies. Is that man our daddy? The question hung in the air, simple yet profound. Maya looked from Aiden's curious face to Ethan's stricken one, then to Madison's cold calculation. Yes, Maya finally answered, her voice steady despite the tears threatening. This is your father. Ethan knelt to the boy's eye level, his hand trembling as he reached toward them, but stopped short of touching. Hello, he said softly, the word inadequate for the moment. Elijah, always the bolder twin, stepped forward. Why haven't you visited us? All the other daddies visit, even when they don't live at home. The simple question landed like a physical blow. Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't know about you. If I had known, I would have been there every day. Madison laughed sharply. How inconvenient for your engagement, darling. Maya shot her a withering look. This isn't about you. Oh, but it is, Madison countered. This touching family reunion is happening at my engagement party. My revenge plan. My moment. Aiden, still partially hidden behind Maya's dress, studied Ethan with solemn eyes. Do you know how to fix broken things? My fire truck fell off. It was such an ordinary question, so removed from the adult drama surrounding them, that Ethan felt tears threaten. Yes, he managed. I'm good fixing things. Except relationships, Madison muttered. The twins approached Ethan cautiously, unaware of the seismic shifts occurring in the adult world. Elijah poked Ethan's tie. We have the same eyes. Yes, you do, Maya confirmed softly. Two pairs of identical eyes, one set small and curious, the other filled with 5 years of regret. Locked in a moment of recognition, no DNA test could make more certain. Madison watched the family connection forming with growing frustration. This wasn't how her revenge was supposed to unfold. Enough of this family reunion, she snapped, pulling out her phone. I'm releasing everything. The company's secrets, the security vulnerabilities, all of it. Her finger hovered over the send button. Unless you're both willing to make a deal that will satisfy everyone in this room. Ethan stood, shielding the boys with his body in an instinctive gesture of protection. What kind of deal? You publicly renounce any claim to these children, Madison said coldly. Sign over your company shares to me. Return to Atlanta alone. I'll keep your secret paternity quiet and release some altered records suggesting the original data breach was less significant than reported. Your professional reputation stays intact. And if I refuse, Ethan challenged, then I destroy everything. Your company, your reputation, and expose these children to a public scandal that will follow them forever. Maya pulled the boys closer to her side. You would hurt innocent children for revenge. My father was innocent too, Madison replied. Collateral damage happens in war. Ethan looked from the twins to Maya, then back to Madison. 5 years ago, he'd walked away thinking it was the only way to protect the woman he loved. Now he faced the same choice. Sacrifice his relationship with his newly discovered sons, or subject them to public scrutiny and potential danger. What makes a father, biology or presence? Is it ever too late to become the parent your child deserves? Share your thoughts on whether time lost can ever be reclaimed. As the twins cautiously approached Ethan, Madison's mask of control shattered. "Enough of this family reunion," she snapped, pulling out her phone. "I'm releasing everything. The company's secrets, the security vulnerabilities, all of it." Her finger hovered over the send button. "Unless you're both willing to make a deal that will satisfy everyone in this room." 5 years earlier, Ethan Cole had walked away from love to protect it. Now he was walking toward it, directly into the line of fire, finally understanding that sometimes the greatest protection isn't distance, but closeness. "I have a counter-offer," Ethan said calmly, moving to stand beside Maya and the twins. "You can have the company." Madison blinked, thrown by his easy capitulation. "What?" "Cole Technologies. The patents. The contracts. You can have it all." Ethan's voice gained strength with each word. "But you'll get it through proper channels with proper documentation, and you'll never come near my family again. That's your counteroffer?" Madison scoffed. "To give me exactly what I want." "No, Ethan Riblaev. My counteroffer is to give you what you want without destroying innocent lives in the process. Because unlike me at 24, you still have a chance to choose a better path." He pulled out his own phone, typing quickly. "I'm transferring ownership of my shares to a trust for Aiden and Elijah. You'll get operational control of the company, which I assume is what you really want. But my sons will retain financial interest." Madison's eyes narrowed. "That's not acceptable. It's either that, or what's behind door number 2. Ethan replied, pressing a button on his phone. The door opened, revealing Ethan's head of security flanked by 2 federal agents. "Madison Clark, we have questions about your involvement in a series of corporate espionage incidents," the lead agent stated, "including the deployment of malware across protected financial networks." The color drained from Madison's face. "You wouldn't dare. I'll release everything." "Go ahead," Ethan challenged. "The FBI already has the complete files, including evidence that you were involved in the original breach." Corporate espionage carries a minimum 15-year sentence. Outside the windows, Charleston glowed in twilight as inside, the future realigned. Madison's phone dropped to her side as Ethan's team entered, led by the security expert who'd been building a case against her father for years. "You thought you were the only one setting traps," Ethan said quietly, his hand finding Maya's between them. "You knew," Maya whispered as Madison was escorted from the room, the engagement party dissolving into confused murmurs outside. "I suspected," Ethan admitted. "Something about her interest in me never felt right. I've been gathering evidence for months, but I needed her to implicate herself directly." He looked down at the twins, who were watching the proceedings with wide eyes. "I never expected to find you here. To find them." Maya knelt before her sons. "Aiden, Elijah, we need to go now. It's been a long day." "But we just found Daddy," Elijah protested. "Can't he come with us?" The simple question hung between the adults. 5 years of separation. 5 years of secrets and half-truths. 5 years that could never be recovered. "That's up to your mother," Ethan said softly. Maya stood, facing him directly. "You left once without explanation. How do I know you won't disappear again when things get difficult?" "Because I'm not running anymore," Ethan replied. "I'll move to Savannah. I'll visit when you allow it. I'll support them whether you want me in their lives or not. But I'm hoping," his voice faltered, "I'm hoping you'll give me a chance to know my sons. And maybe, someday, a chance to show you who I've become." Later that night, in a quiet corner of the hotel garden, Maya and Ethan sat together watching the twins chase fireflies across the lawn. Their laughter carried on the warm Charleston air, innocent and untouched by the day's revelations. "They're amazing," Ethan said, his voice filled with wonder. "You did that. You raised them to be so perfect." "Not perfect," Maya corrected, "but resilient, loving, curious." She paused. "Like you in many ways." Their hands found each other in the gathering darkness, the first intentional touch in 5 years. Electricity still flowed between them, a current that had never fully died despite time and distance. "I never stopped thinking about you," Ethan admitted. "Even when I convinced myself staying away was the right thing." Maya's fingers tightened around his. "We can't go back to that week in Charlotte. Too much has happened. I don't want to go back." Ethan replied. "I want to go forward. With all of you, if you'll have me." Sometimes the longest journeys bring us exactly where we were meant to be all along. Have you ever found your way back to something you thought was lost forever? Share your story of second chances below. 6 months later, a different celebration filled the garden of their Savannah home. Not an engagement built on revenge, but a family reunion celebrating truth. As the twins raced across the lawn wearing perfectly straight bow ties, Ethan turned to Maya. "I spent my life building walls and fortunes, thinking they would protect me," he said, slipping a ring on her finger that symbolized not ownership, but partnership. But real legacy isn't what you build alone. It's what you create together.